All right, hey guys, today we are going to go over writing equations. So this unit, so far, I've given you equations and you've learned how to solve them. Now we're going to learn how to write equations if I give you a word problem. So a quick refresher, an equation has to have an equal sign. And remember, this equal sign means that both sides are the same. So in this example, it's saying 3x plus 5, that is the same as 2x minus 10. And I just want to know, well, what does x equal? So today we're actually going to be writing these equations. All right, so in your notes, I would like you to write down some keywords that when you see these keywords, they usually mean that you need to put an equal sign. All right, so the first one that you're going to see a lot of times in math is the word is. When you see that word, it means equals a lot of times in math. Another keyword is, or phrase, is the phrase equals to. So if it says 4x is equal to 7, you would write an equal sign. Another one is the same as. The same as, again, you'll write an equal sign. Another one, or phrase, is identical to. So if you see the phrase is identical to, you're going to want to write an equal sign. And another one is gives. All right, so if you see the word gives, you're going to put an equal sign. One last one, obviously, is if you just see the word equal, then you're going to put an equal sign as well. All right, let's take a look at some sentences, some word sentences that we want to rewrite as equations. So a couple little hints, we've done this in the past, is you should circle or underline any key words, and then go ahead and try to write the equation. So let's take a look at this first one. It says 8 is the sum of 3 and 5. Well, I see a couple key words. Now, is a new one that we just learned. Remember, is a lot of times can mean equals in math. Okay, so it says 8 is the sum of. I know the sum of means I'm adding. Okay, so let's kind of go through and see what it says. It says 8, and then it says is, so I'll put equals. The sum of 3 and 5, so it means I'm adding those two. All right, so I just wrote an equation for that sentence. All right, let's try another one. Let's go down to this one. Okay, it says 32 is the same as the product of 2 and 16. All right, I see this key phrase, is the same as. Again, that means equals. And then it says the product means I multiply. Okay, I'm going to multiply 2 and 16. So let's go ahead and kind of write the sentence. It says 32 is the same as. So I'm going to put 32 is the same as. I'm going to put an equal sign. And then it says the product of 2 and 16. So I'm going to multiply those. So I'm going to use parentheses. 2 and 16 multiplied. So there is my equation. I just transferred that word sentence into an equation. All right, let's try one more. It says 67 is identical to. Okay, is identical to. That is another word for equals. And then it says to 33 plus 34. Well, I know that is plus. So let's go ahead and go through the sentence. It starts with 67. It says is identical to. I'll put an equal sign. And then it says 33 plus 34. All right, I just wrote an equation. All right, let's try two more together. Let's come down to this one that says the product. All right, so first thing I see the product. I know that means multiply. So it says the product of 9 and C is equal to. Ooh, is equal to, there's another keyword. I'm going to put my equal sign. Is equal to the quotient. Ooh, quotient I know is division of 8 times K and 4 times B. Okay, so there's kind of a lot in this one. Let's start with this first part before the equal sign. So here's my equal sign. It kind of splits the two things up. So let's do this part. It says the product of 9 and C. Well, I know the product means I multiply. And 9 and C, I'm going to write as 9 times C. Okay, then it says it's equal to. So I'll put my equal sign. It says it's equal to the quotient. Now remember, when I see quotient, I'm going to put a division line. And I need two things for quotient. And usually the word and separates it. So I see the quotient of 8 times K and 4 times B. So those are my two things. So my first thing, it says 8 times K, and then it says and, so there's my division line, 4 times B. All right, I just wrote my equation. So 9C equals 8K over 4b. All right, let's try one more. Let's try this bottom one. So it says a number k increased by 10. I know increased by means I add. It says is the same as, that's equal sign, as 24. So let's kind of go through it. All right, again, it says a number k increased by 10. I'm going to write k plus 10 is the same as, remember that means equals, is the same as 24, equals 24. All right, so we just wrote an equation. Now you could go ahead and solve that. But today we're just focusing on writing equations. So I'd like you to go back and finish the ones that we skipped. All right, so during the rest of this unit, we are going to be writing and solving equations from different situations and word problems. So there are a couple key steps that you need to know when you're writing equations. So here are the steps. Step one, you always need to define the variable. Okay, so what are you missing? What do you need to know? Usually we're going to call that x. Now you can call it whatever you want, but a lot of times we'll use x. Okay, step two, you want to look for key or clue words. What are those key words? Is, remember, means equals. You should always underline them, highlight them. So what are your clue words? And then step three, write the equation. So I'm going to do this one example with you to show you kind of what I mean as I go through the steps. So if I take a look at this problem, it says Joe is 4 years older than twice Keith's age. All right, so I kind of read it. I see Joe is 4 years older, that's important, than twice Keith's age. Okay, so the first thing, we did this when we solved 5D. We kind of define our variables. So I have Joe and I have Keith. So I need to kind of write an expression for each of them. So they're comparing Joe to Keith, so I'm going to call Keith's age X. All right, and then I'm going to use my key words to write Joe. He's 4 years older than twice Keith's age. Remember, we do the twice first. So I'm going to write twice Keith. Keith was X, so twice Keith plus 4. Okay, so again, first thing I did was define my variables. That was my first step. Okay, then I looked for my key words, and now I'm going to write the equation. Well, the last sentence is super important. It says, together, they are 34. Together, that's another key word. You might want to add that to your notes. Together can mean I add. All right, so I'm going to say together, they equal 34. Okay, I just wrote my equation. I have 2x plus 4 plus x equals 34. Now I could go ahead and solve it, just like how I know, just how we learned to solve equations in the past. We're not going to actually solve it, but that's how you would set it up. All right, so now we are going to solve a word problem that involves writing an equation. So let's read through it. It says Oliver is building a train depot for his model railroad. As his final step, he needs to apply rain gutters around the roof of a rectangular building. Ooh, that sounds important. I'm going to underline it. So it's a rectangular building, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangular building. So it says he has 52 centimeters of rain gutter. So that means he's going to be going around the outside of this building and putting rain gutters all the way around the outside. Well, around the outside of something, that's called the perimeter. So I'm going to go ahead and put the perimeter equals 52. Okay, I'm going to go back and continue reading and see what else it tells me. It says the length of the depot is 19 centimeters. So I'm going to come up here to the length, and I'm going to put that it's 19 centimeters. Now, since this is a rectangle, if the bottom is 19, the top is also 19. We want to figure out, well, how long is the width? So I'm trying to find this other side. And since I don't know it right now, I'm going to call that x. If one side is x, so is the other side. All right, now my next step is to use my information. So I know all the way around the outside, if I add that up, he's going to use exactly 52 centimeters. So I'm going to write an equation. I'm going to say I'm going to take my one side, x, plus my top, which is 19, plus my other side, x, plus my bottom, which is 19 together. That is going to equal exactly 52. All right, now we've learned how to solve equations this unit. So I'm going to draw my line down the equal sign. And I'm going to start by combining like terms. I see an x and an x. Well, I can rewrite that as 2x plus 19 and 19, that is 38. And then on the other side equals 52. All right, my next step, I want to get the x's by themselves on this side, so I need to get rid of this plus 38. Well, I can subtract 38 or take away 38 from both sides. All right, so I'm going to do that. All right, when I do 52 minus 38, I end up with 14. On the other side, this will make 0, so I'm just left with 2x. No, I don't want 2 x's. I just want to know what 1x equals, so I'm going to divide by 2. Well, 2 divided by 2, that's just 1x, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. So my answer for the width is 7. So this side right here is 7, and so is this side. Those are both 7s. Now, I could do a quick check. I could add all 4 of these up, and it should equal 52 centimeters, which it does. All right, so we just solved several equations. Anything that we did not fill in on your note sheet, please go back and finish. All right, and then tomorrow, we are going to work on writing and solving equations. Okay, so we'll look at several different word problems, and we'll be able to write the equation, and then we'll work on solving it using what we've learned so far.